Bismillah. Okay, good afternoon, class. So today we're looking at functions. We're still drawing the graphs, correct? So we have done the parabola in our previous lesson, not so? And we've done the interpretation of those graphs as well. Now we're looking at the hyperbola graph. So hyperbola graph, firstly, will be in the form of y is equal to k over x plus q. If k was greater than 0, which means to say k is positive, it lies in quadrant 1 and 3. If k is less than 0, which means to say k is negative, it lies in quadrant 2 and 4. We also said at this point we're going to indicate our asymptotes. We have two asymptotes. We have an horizontal asymptote, and the horizontal asymptote is the one that is parallel to your x-axis. It has a y reading of y is equal to whatever q is. Okay. However, the vertical asymptote has an x value of 0. Why 0? Because the denominator can't be equal to 0 there. Can't be equal to 0. Otherwise, the sum will be undefined. Okay. So that's the first thing we do. Thereafter, we calculate our x-intercept, then y equal to 0. Then we work out our y-intercept, let x equal to 0. So y-intercept x equal to 0, x-intercept y equal to 0. And the fourth is then to draw the graph. Not so? So we're going to follow these 4 steps in drawing the graphs I gave you. And then we're going to look at the interpretation of those graphs as well. Okay. So let's go with the first graph I've given you. I don't need to actually erase this. I can just pull this down now. I'm using a different computer today, so just see if it's going to work fast. What's the first one I gave you?
Y is equal to 3 over x
Plus 2. So when we start, we need to say that shape of this graph. So it's positive. So which quadrants will it be in? 1 and 3. So what's my horizontal asymptote? Y is equal to 2 and x equal to 0. Second is my x-intercept. What do you do for x-intercept? Y equal to 0. So 0 is equal to 3 over x plus 2. We get over the equal sign, so negative 3 over x is equal to 2 over 1. Cross multiply. So negative 3 is equal to 2x. So x is equal to negative 1.5. Or negative 3 over 2. Not so? It's the same thing. Okay, or negative 1.5. Then we now work out my y-intercept. What do I do for y-intercept? Then x equal to 0. So I have a function looking like this now. Y equals 3 over 0 plus 2. So if I plug that into the calculator, okay, so you're going to 3 over 0 plus 2. Gives you a math error. Meaning to say what? No solution. So in other words, no y-intercept. And for now, people, that will be always the case for your hyperbola graph in this format. In grade 11, it will change because of the graph shifts from left to right. Okay? But for now, the y-intercept will always be no y-intercept. Not going to cut your y-axis. Okay? So I'm not going to do that in my next calculation. Okay? You can also leave it out. As I've indicated before that, if the question says sketch the graph, then all your marks are on the graph. Okay? Well, this is enough information to draw the graph. Not so. So let's draw. That's your y and this is your x. Okay. So, firstly, the graph is in quadrant 1 and 3. Okay. We have a horizontal asymptote of y is equal to 2. Not so. And the vertical asymptote of x is equal to 0. But x is equal to 0 is also on what, people? Is also on your y-axis, not so? Alright, so that is also on your y-axis. So what do I do now? I don't draw a solid line, a dotted line on a solid line. So I'm not going to draw that vertical line on the y-axis of x equal to 0. Just for us to know that the y-axis is an asymptote as well. Okay. So we go for x is equal to negative 1.5 for your x-axis. It's approximately there. So people, we know that this is quadrant 1 and this whole thing here is quadrant 2. The quadrants is divided up by the asymptotes. You guys understand? So it's not divided up by the axis, but it's actually divided by the asymptote. So we draw, coming close there. So that is your one graph, and there's the other. Right, you guys got that? Okay. So yesterday I said we're going to look at a couple of questions dealing with this here. As I've given you 4 graphs to draw for homework. So if you're watching this video and you haven't drawn this graph, you didn't get any practice on drawing this graph, here's your opportunity. You just pause the video and then you draw the graph and then you just press play again when you're ready. Okay. So there's a couple of questions with regards to the interpretation of these graphs. Did I give it to you guys yesterday? Yes. So I'm just going to write you on the side. The first one was domain. Domain. Then range. Not so. Then the second one was f of x is equal to 0 or so f of x less than, so that's number 1. Number 2, f of x is less than 0, yes. Then the third thing is the equation of axis of symmetry is the graph increasing or decreasing? Right, and lastly, is that it? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this over to the side as we know the 4 points. I'll just pull it up for the next question again, okay? So let's look at the first one. Okay. Get one of these. Okay. You got the monkey there? Alright, relax your bones, it's fine. People first think domain. People, what is domain? Domain is all possible x values. So let's go, domain. So if you look at this graph goes all the way to negative infinity on the x, not so? And it goes all the way to positive infinity on the x. You all agree with that? So if it goes from negative infinity all the way to positive infinity, what do you write? But look here. Does this graph exist on this line here? No. So that is the only point or the only x value for which this graph does not exist for x. Besides that, x is equal to 0, it exists everywhere else. You all agree with that? So what do I write for the domain? I say x is an element of R. However, x is not equal to 0. Not oh, it's a 0. Okay. Let's look at the range. The range of this graph. People, what is a range? All possible y values. Not so. So the graph goes negative infinity all the way to positive infinity. So all the values of y exist except which value of y does this graph not cover? 2. Can you see it's going all the way up from 2 and all the way down from 2, but just not 2. You guys understand? So what do we write as the domain here? Y is an element of R. Y is just not equal to Right? You guys understand? Let's look at the second one. Where is f of x equal to 0? People, what is f of x? For those of you who are confused, f of x is the y here. That can be replaced with f of x. No? Sometimes it's g of x, sometimes it's m of x, or whatever. Okay, but if it is m of x, they would say where's m of x equal to 0. If it's g of x, it was g of x less than 0. Okay, I'm just using it. F of x was f of x used most of the time, and I should have written the f of x is equal to 3 over x plus 2. Okay, but I didn't. So when do we set the function equal to 0? X-axis, x-intercept. So what's the x-intercept? Negative 1.5. Not so. So what's the answer here? X is equal to negative 1.5. The second part of the question. Where's f of x? Less than 0. People, what does less than 0 mean? Negative numbers. It must be below the y is equal to 0 line or the x-axis. It must be below this line. You all agree with that? So let's look at this here. So, is this part below the x-axis? No. Is this part below the x-axis? No. It is only from negative 1.5 to which value? To an x value of? Okay, now the infinity, negative infinity is actually on the y here. I'm asking for which x value. Remember when we did our lesson yesterday? We said that these two questions, because that one, this one, and the increasing, decreasing part, we said has to do with the for which x values. Not so. So for which x value is f of x less than 0? It's from negative 1 all the way to 0. Can you see that, people? So let's write that as an inequality. What would I write? Is that continuous or a broken solution? Is that solution together or apart? From negative 1.5 to 0. Is it together or apart? It's together. From negative 1.5 to 0. It's together. So when I write my inequality, and the one's having a mother meeting there, stop it, please. You're busy with a phone in the class. It's going from negative 1 to 0. So it's together, it's continuous. If it's continuous, the inequality must also be written together. You guys understand? So let's write it together. So we say x has to be greater than negative 1.5, but less than 0. You guys understand? Next question. Is this graph increasing or decreasing? Is this function increasing? Now remember in the previous lesson I asked you for which values of the function is it increasing and for which values is it decreasing. If you look at this graph, you will see here what happens here. This graph from this is always, and this side? Now as x increases, what do you notice? Y is decreasing. So this graph is always decreasing. It's decreasing for all values of x. Can you see that, people? It's decreasing for all values of x. Okay. Yes? I'm going to look at the equation of the axis of symmetry now. So we say that this graph is decreasing. Okay, so the graph is decreasing. It's decreasing for all values of x, not some. So what do I write? X is an element of R. However, what happens at 0? Is the graph increasing or decreasing at x is equal to 0? The graph is non-existent. So we just say the graph is decreasing for all real values of x except 0. So I say x is not equal to 0 then. That's behind the calculator. So let's take this over here. That is not a calculator. Neither is that. Caption 2. Azai. Okay. What? You don't understand? There's another 3 coming. So I'll explain again and again. Okay. Right, now coming to the axis of symmetry. Now coming to the axis of symmetry. Just take all this out here. Now, how many axes of symmetry do you think here is on this graph? One. Where is it? Where do you see one axis of symmetry? Going down here. She says the one going down here. What is the axis of symmetry? It's a line in which I can fold the graph close into, and then the one side will fall exactly onto the other. If I fold it close in this line, this needs to look like that. That, of course, needs to look like that. Is that the case? No. So that is not the axis of symmetry. Anybody else see an axis of symmetry there? X-intercept. If I look here, this needs to lie there and that will lie there. What are you talking about? It's going through the asymptote. How about the line going through like that? Could I fold this graph close in that line? You see this part, this graph will fall exactly onto that graph. If I fold it close in that line. You all see that? Do you see another one? You see another one? Yes. The one going through like that. So this part of the graph will fall onto that side, whilst this part will fall exactly onto that side of the graph. Can you see that, people? So there's always, for hyperbola graph, 2 axes of symmetry. There are 2 axes of symmetry. Not so. So this one is the positive gradient axis of symmetry. So y is equal to x plus c. This one has a negative gradient. So y is equal to negative x plus c. How do I know the gradient is 1? You see the rise and the run is the same. The rise and the run. Normally we do an investigation on it, and then we come to the conclusion that the gradient is 1 and the reverse gradient or the other gradient is negative 1. But we don't have time for that as we're lagging behind. So if you want to watch the full lesson, it can be found in the description box below. Okay. So those are the 2. Y is equal to x plus c and y is equal to minus x plus c. People, this will always be the case for the hyperbola graph. 11 and 12 as well. Okay? However, what do we need to solve still? We still need to solve the value of c. So we say y is equal to x plus c. How do we calculate c? We must substitute the point that's lying on this graph. The point that we know about is this one here, which is 0 and 2. So they substitute 0 and 2. That's an x and a y. So 2 is equal to 0 plus c. So c works out to be 2. Y is equal to x plus 2. But some of you are going to say, but we didn't need to work that out. Why? Because c is always your y-intercept. And your y-intercept here is 2. So, that is right. Y is equal to x plus 2. And the other one, of course, is going to be y is equal to minus x plus 2. So, there are the 2 axes of symmetry. Okay, so a lot was said now, ne? So let's do the next one and then we'll answer those questions quickly on that. Okay. Now moving to force. No, okay. Let's just put this on the side here. What's the equation I gave you yesterday? Minus 3. Okay. So where do we stop? Okay. So since it's negative, which quadrants will it lie into? Quadrant 2 and 4. The quadrants is divided by what? Asymptotes. Don't forget it. No? It's not by the x and y axis. It's asymptotes. Okay. So here we have a horizontal asymptote of y is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 0. X equal to 0 is also what? Y-intercept. Nice. Did we work out now? X-intercept. How do you calculate X-intercept? Y equal to 0. The 0 is equal to negative 3 over x minus 2. To get over the equal sign becomes 3 over x equals negative 2 over 1. Cross multiply, negative 2x is equal to 3. X is equal to negative 3 over. And this is enough information to draw the graph. If you're going to go with y-intercept, it will get a no solution, an undefined answer there. Not so. Right, so what do I do now? We can draw the graph. Okay? We start off with the asymptote. So we know the y-intercept is an asymptote. And y is equal to? Negative 2 is an asymptote. Okay. So it's lying in quadrant 2 and quadrant 3. 4, sorry. You all agree with that? When it comes to x-axis at negative 1.5 or negative 3 over 2. So as we know, it's going to come close to the y-axis, but not touch. And you're going to come close to the y is equal to negative 2. And that's just reflect the graph on the side. Okay, you all understand? You okay, Michael? You understand? You don't understand how to draw this graph? What is confusing about the graph? And I know you indicated this was confusing, so we're going to go again there. Don't worry about that. Which is the same. I'm talking about the graph only. What is confusing about drawing the graph? Sorry? The graph is not confusing. No, so it's that thing. Okay, we're going to get there again now. Yes? Freehand. You don't draw with a ruler or compass, protractor, or compress. No, nothing. Okay. Freehand. People, also when we draw this graph, don't do this to the graph. No? Remember, if that is an asymptote, then that's an asymptote. It comes close but doesn't touch. Okay. Right. Any other questions? So we're again going to go to those interpretation questions. Now you just stop if you don't understand, okay? Alright, let's go with the first one. Number 1, domain. What is domain? All possible x values. So domain. Okay. Does this graph exist at negative infinity on your x?
No.
You all agree? Yes. Why? Because if you look at this part here of the graph, okay, it's going to do that. As that increases, that will go closer and closer, but you will never touch the x. Okay. So I can't draw an infinity graph and draw it forever and all of those things. Otherwise, when am I going to eat? No? So, very restricted. Okay. So what is the domain? X is an element or real number. X is just not equal to? You understand that part, Michael? Alright. Let's look at the range. The range. The range is all possible. Why then? Remember, anything we always read it from left to right or from bottom to top. From negative to positive. So, does this graph exist at negative infinity? Yes, because as that carries down to negative infinity, that's going to go closer and closer to that axis. If you look in the positive direction, if you go there to positive infinity, this graph comes closer and closer, but never touches the y-axis. Can you see that, people? Yes. And that is your asymptotes. Okay. So what is the range? It goes negative infinity, positive infinity. So y is an element of R. Y is just not equal to negative 2. Why not negative 2? Because the graph never cut this axis, or never crossed the y is equal to negative 2 line. You understand? Don't you understand that? You do, okay? Just tell me what you don't understand. I'll try and explain again, okay? Right. Let's look at the next question. Now we're saying, is f of x, remember this is f, where is f of x equal to 0? Where is f of x equal to 0? The x-axis, where it cuts the x-axis, which is? So that x is equal to negative 3 over 2. Okay. Where is f of x less than 0? Okay, so what does less than 0 mean? Where it is negative. Okay? Or it's where it is below the x-axis. Okay? Now, is this part above or below the x-axis? Below. However, that is above. This here? Below. So I'm only going to look where the graph is below the x-axis. So it's those two. Not so. So, from negative 3 over 2, must I move to the left or to the right for the solution? Why move to the right? Because if I move to the right, I'm then considering this part of the graph. Can you see that? So in other words, I must move to the left. Okay. So from negative 1.5 to 0, is that part of the solution I'm going to consider? No. From 0 onwards, as you can see, that again covers that part of the graph. You understand, people? So in other words, x must be less than negative 3 over 2 or more than 0. Now, is that solution together or is it apart? The apart. There's a gap between negative 1.5 and 0. Can you see? So it's apart. So the solution must also be apart. So to answer that question, I then say that x has to be less than negative 3 over 2 or x must be more than 0. Remember, this is an x value. What's your x value here? Sorry? It is 0 here. X is equal to 0. That's why it must be more than 0. An x value of 0. Okay. Okay, any other confusion there? Okay. Let's look at the next question. The axis of symmetry. How many axes of symmetry will there be? 2. What is the y value here? Negative 2. What's the coordinate of that point? 0 and negative 2. Not so. So the one axis of symmetry is going through like that, and one of course is going through like that. So the equation of the axis of symmetry is y is equal to x minus 2 yes, or this one here, y is equal to negative x minus 2. You all understand that one? What's wrong, Ms. Lala? What? What don't you understand? Sorry? Okay, remember what I said earlier on? I said that this one here would be y is equal to x plus c. And this one here would be y is equal to minus x plus c. Is that confusing you? Yes, okay. So make a note there to accept the fact that y is equal to x plus c is the one asymptote, the axisymmetry, and the other one is y is equal to minus x plus c. That will always be the case for your hyperbola graph. The reason for that is because if I just take you one step back, no? When we drew this graph, you remember when we drew this graph with a table a couple of lessons ago? You remember this? No? You all remember that? Okay. So, if you look at this point here, you'll see that I think those point there and that was the same. Whatever it was. Okay. So what we do is if we draw a line through the center and this point here, you would have noticed that that is a asymptote. Not an asymptote, but an axisymmetry. Okay, just go back to your graph, you'll see that those two values were the same. Okay, if you go this direction, this was y is equal to minus x. Okay, so if you fold the graph close in those lines, you'll see it will be exactly the same. Okay, however, if I say now you got y is equal to 1 over x, and I say plus 1, what effect will that plus 1 have on the graph? It's actually going to shift this graph 1 unit up. Okay. We don't have time now to explain this, the effect of that. But if this graph moves 1 unit up, then the asymptote also moves 1 unit up.
Our tuck shop is open now during the second break.
And this graph will go then up.
Taking the music show. Please come and buy some nice sweet
And it's going through there.
I still have a few sandwiches left. Please come and collect the sandwich if you do not have any lunch. Thank you.
So that's what's going to happen, people. Okay. If you watch last year's lesson, I actually did this on the computer, on the graphing program, how the thing actually moves. Okay. But let's just wrap this up quickly. Right, so people listen. So for the axis of symmetry, the first thing we can write down is y is equal to x plus c, or y is equal to minus x plus c. That will always stay the same. Y is equal to minus x plus c, and y is equal to x plus c. Okay. So what happens is that c value is your y-intercept. And what's your y-intercept here? Negative 2. So y is equal to x minus 2, and y is equal to minus x minus 2. Okay. So what I want you guys to do for homework is you draw the other. Make sure that you know how to draw the other two graphs, and you're going to add these two to your homework as well, so that we can discuss this tomorrow. Okay. So it's going to be add those two to the graphs as well. Then you do the interpretation questions for all four? Then we'll do that in tomorrow's lesson. People enjoy the rest of your day. Good morning, class. Afternoon.